Welcome to the Flavor of Florence. My name is Pat Berry, and I'm an historian and a retired Boone County teacher. I grew up in Florence and have spent the majority of my life as a resident. We are on Main Street in Florence, Kentucky. At one time, this was the center of Florence. It was the center of business. It was the center of government. It was the center of life. The main road north to south passed through Florence. Stagecoach stops followed by bus stops. There were hotels. There were restaurants. There were churches. There were stores. The seat of government was on Main Street. More importantly, there were residences. People lived on Main Street. They worked on Main Street. They shopped and worshiped on Main Street. But as the song, Our Town, in the Disney movie Cars plaintively states, Main Street isn't Main Street anymore. Florence mirrors the fictitious city depicted in the movie. When Interstate 75 was built, it bypassed Florence. Businesses closed and moved closer to the new road. The city began to grow and stretch its way to the interstate. Eventually, the center of town became the outskirts of town. While some commerce remained, over time, it has become a faded image of its former self. So what was mid-century Main Street really like? This is what we hope to discover as we look at the people and places that made Main Street Florence the place that it was. We will taste the flavor of Florence. Behind me is Stringtown Restaurant. It is a popular and well-respected business in Florence. It is located in the Oddfellows Hall. For over 100 years, it was the tallest building in Florence. It not only was their meeting room, it was an assembly hall with a stage. The first floor has always been commercial space, but for much of the time, a store operated by Louis and Libby Riddell. Who were the Riddells? What did they and their store contribute to the growth of Florence? Join me as we meet the children of the owners, Sherry Riddell Walters and Rick Riddell.
I'm Sherry Riddell Walters, and my parents owned Riddell's Market, right here, Main Street in Florence. And I'm trying to think, I talked to my brother who couldn't be here today, and we were really, of course we weren't in existence, but we're trying to think that they started it. Daddy bought the store from Menor Martin, who goes way back. And it was somewhere probably either 1949 or 1950. And he had come back from the war, and he worked for a while on my grandfather's milk business. He had a milk business in Florence with an old milk truck, and he decided he wanted to have his own business, so he opened this market. And it evolved into being a big meat market. People from all around came to buy the meats, and they were prime, and back then there were no supermarkets. And he was very proud of the quality that he put out. It also had canned goods, good produce, and things like that. And Libby was the cash register queen of Florence. That was my mother, Libby Riddell.
She had great earrings, I recall.
Yeah.
I had heard, wasn't your dad a volunteer fireman?
Oh, my dad was a volunteer fireman, and he thought, he found it very important to give to the community, so he joined the fire department. Back then, there were no professional firemen, there were no paid firemen, but he would be behind the meat counter, and the siren would go off. There was a fire somewhere. He would take off out the door, and whoever was working with him behind the meat counter would take over. He would take off out the door, running down the street, and he would take off his apron, and it'd always land in Nestor's yard. He'd just pitch it. And he would go to the fire, and then he would come back and he'd pick up the apron, and of course he'd always put a new apron back on after being. But yeah, I can still see that. You know, I would just be kind of like, oh, there goes Daddy.
One of the things that I can recall that you all did that, you know, it's like you were 70 years ahead of yourselves, which was the delivery. That you delivered, you could call in and you could, because I recall my mom on the phone to your mom saying, my mom would have her grocery list, and I remember saying, I want a 69-cent bag of Husband's potato chips.
Right.
Boy, I wish that was...
People would call and place their orders. In fact, probably some of the busiest people in Florence, doctors, lawyers, business people, who really didn't have the opportunity to get out and go to the store that much. So they would call and place the order. The phone was right over there. Hello, Riddell's Market. And the number was Atlantic 32331. I remember that. And she would take the order. And not only did she take the order, but the order was delivered. And back then, Florence was a place where everyone knew each other. Everyone trusted each other. And everyone respected each other and respected what they had. So the groceries would be taken to different homes and taken in the door and stocked in the cabinets. If there was meat, it would be put in the refrigerator. If it was milk, it would be put in the refrigerator. Mom would have the keys to those that had their house locked, and a lot of people didn't even bother to lock their homes back then. So they would just, you know, the delivery boy, who was Frankie Rudd for a long time, would go in and take all the groceries in and put them away. And that's unheard of today. I mean, they might, you know, we might have Amazon delivering products, but nobody's going to go in and put them away. You know, along with putting the groceries away. Sometime, maybe Wally Hess, Dr. Hess's wife, would call and say, you know, I want to make a pan of lasagna tonight. Would you please put me together some stuff? So Mom would have to, you know, she had to know recipes to put the ingredients together.
That's cool.
Or, you know, or sometimes she might have to look up in a Betty Crocker cookbook to find out what somebody was going to make to put the ingredients together.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's service that's so above and beyond. But it's like, kind of, you say, well, yeah, we do this because we do it because, like you say, it's like it was family. It's what you would do when a family member, hey, what do I need for this? You know?
Yeah.
It was personal. You know, that's, yeah, I mean, the idea of the community being that close that you can do that and feel safe.
Right.
You know.
And everyone here was basically family. Of course, not biological, but everyone on Main Street was family. Everyone knew each other, and you know, I like to say this was Main Street USA back then, kind of like a Mayberry. We had the barbershop down the street. We had Denham's drugstore. It was just, you know, we all knew each other, and they all worked together in doing what they could to make the community what it was.
When you were growing up and when you were here, what was it like in this building? I mean, was there anything scary about it, or was it, you know, because having had that meeting hall, I guess, had they stopped using that meeting hall?
Yeah, there was nothing upstairs. I went up there a few times, and it was really spooky. It was where the Oddfellows met, and I think later on the Miss Masons met up there. But I didn't, you know, I've heard there are spirits here, but as a child I don't recall experiencing any of that.
Not. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking time today to reminisce with us. I mean, this is, Riddell's Market is just one of those iconic places when you think of Florence, Kentucky. You think of, you know, I remember I was in here, I did this, and you know, for the generations that there are less and less of us who can say, I've been in here and I did this, but you know, to be able to pass that spirit along and that idea along, and you know, that the sense of community that I think that the store had, that it, you know, it engaged people and made them want to come in, and you all went out into the community and became, you know, you were part of that community.
Yeah. Well, it's been nice taking a walk down memory lane.
But thank you again for visiting, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I wanted to thank you for letting us visit here today and use this as our background for talking about Riddell's Market.
Sure.
So, for inviting us into your home. And so I had asked Sherry, who was just in here, if she knew anything about any mysterious things, or she couldn't recall any, but I knew that you did. So can you tell us about, I understand there's a fellow named Henry.
Mm-hmm. The ghost.
Yeah, tell me about him.
I can only tell you that he's here all the time.
How do you know he's here?
Oh, he messes with me. You know, we have, like on the third floor, water will show up. Everything's been redone upstairs, so water would show up on the floor or on the steps, but there's no water pipes up there at that time at all. You know, and things move. We don't watch them move, but they move. Things have been put in different places, and just a lot of funky things happen all the time.
You mentioned something about the coffee pots?
Coffee pot was, yeah, it was when I went upstairs. I live here, so when I went upstairs at the end of an evening, came back down the next day, everybody had already gone when I went upstairs, and there was a coffee pot sitting in the middle of the floor. So yeah, and that's just one thing. Things have disappeared, never to be found.
So was he here right from the beginning? I mean,
He's been here since I've been here.
that's what I'm saying. So
When I came in, what I learned about Henry came from my employees who had been here before me.
what did they tell you about him?
What I'm telling you, just that he was supposed to be killed cheating playing cards on the second floor. His name was Henry something.
Wonder if he was one of the odd fellows.
No, I don't know. But he's here. He's a nice guy though.
Okay, so he doesn't do anything malicious. He
No.
just lets you know he still owns the place.
Pretty much, yeah. He's knocking to get out, but he's not able to for whatever reason.
So have your current employees, have anybody experienced him? Does he do things out
At night,
just in time?
when there's only one person here.
Okay.
The other employees that have worked here before thought I was in the kitchen. They saw somebody in the kitchen walk by, and I would have been upstairs. I wasn't there, and that kind of freaked them out because there was nobody in the kitchen.
Oh.
You know, we don't open up the doors until 8 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, it's all right.
That's okay.
Yeah, he don't bother anybody. It's just interesting.
Well, again, thank you for letting us come
Sure,
here
no
today.
problem.
I appreciate it very much.
No problem. Anytime.
As we have learned, Riddell's Market was an integral part of Main Street life. Not only did the family provide an important service to the Florence citizens, they were engaged in the community as Florence citizens. They were part of the seasoning which added to the flavor of Florence. I would like to thank Virginia Cole for her knowledge and inspiration in this project. I would also like to thank Bridget Stryker, Local History Coordinator of the Boone County Public Library, and Logan Couch, our videography, for research and technical support. Finally, thank you to Rick Potter for hosting us in his Stringtown restaurant. This concludes our first episode. We will continue our stroll down Main Street for more stories. Please send any feedback or suggestions to the Boone County Public Library to the attention of Bridget Stryker. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Main Street.